skipping some. Microphone check, mic check, mic check. 1 2 1 2. Okay. Doesn't look like my desktop app is letting me send messages to Picarto. So if I type hello Alex, it is not showing up on Picarto, but it is showing up on YouTube. So that is problematic. Now I have to leave this open here to make sure I don't miss any chat. And I think I am about 85 to 90% set up. Okay, I think that's working correctly now. I don't need this. Set that off to the side. I should probably reposition this. And that should be good for the time being. Okay. I like this beat. So I threw out there about doing most of my planning on stream or off stream, and people seemed interested in my thought process and how I came up with stuff. So I can't exactly promise the beginnings of this will be all that interesting, and I cannot guarantee how far we'll get in this process. The program I have up now is Toon Boom Storyboard Pro. This is version 4.1 for those who are interested in that sort of thing. It's pretty straightforward, very similar to your standard Toon Boom. It lets me draw. I'll be doing some thumbnails and making notes as I come up with ideas. If you're in the chat and feel like chatting and participating, you can feel free to throw up some ideas. I'm always open for ideas and will listen and take them into consideration. During last stream's brainstorm, as it were, let's get this brush tool. I kind of played around with the idea of doing a stop motion with a model vehicle that I have. And I really like that idea, so I'm probably gonna go forward with it. So idea one, let's just throw that here. One, the idea was to have a race track, so let's just throw up line. Probably won't be that top down shot. And then have car A, just throw a little box, another little box, and some wheels, and some wheels. And then they would proceed down the track, and one car would emerge the victor. So that was one idea. Where's my new panel button? Is it this guy? I know that changes my view. I have not used this program in quite a while. Storyboard, new, panel. E is the shortcut. I'm gonna have to remember that. P is the shortcut. So two, we have like a lower perspective. Maybe not quite this low. We have like a car here. Oh, Flintstone car, another wheel or whatever, and then there's another car, blah 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 blah, car, and then the animation car would be here, zoom in and swerve around and parallel park in between the two cars, which could be interesting to do. Maybe not quite this angle, this kind of a straight on shot. But I guess I could try a straight on shot. There's nothing exactly wrong with that. How would that be set up? Interesting. I don't know. Let's move on to another idea. Let's call this one 3. We could do probably some kind of stunt. I also have a mannequin guy, this guy, who could probably get in on the action. Maybe have him. He's not proportionate to the car that I have, but with a little video editing, that could be fixed. I could just have him on a separate thing, shrink him down, voila. Not exactly a impossible task. If I were to add in a character, it would definitely add more complexity to the little shot. I'm not doing a scene here. This won't be like a 2-3 minute thing. This is going to be something 5-10 seconds tops. I'm definitely not trying to go overboard with this. But if we have man involved, what could the guy do? We could have him we could have the car, you know, going over a cliff. So that's Control Z that. We want a cliff, so we want to make it more steep, and then more like a flat face. And then there's a car that drives and goes over the edge and explodes with explosion. Boom. And we could definitely add in explosion maybe add in a little 3D explosion. I could probably very easily take something that I've already created and just change it up a bit for the explosion, or I could do that process on stream if I can remember all the steps. I'd probably have to refresh myself on that off stream, so I'm not fumbling around with that. So anyway, we could have car over cliff, come down, classic explosion for no fucking reason. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it before. You know, I was always a fan of like the 80s action films. So when a car falls off a cliff, it explodes in a ball of fire. That's just how the world works, even though that's not how it works. But for cinematic purposes, damn it, that's how it works. And then we could have our guy maybe throw the door open and then jump out and like roll to safety, or he could jump at the last second and possibly grab onto something here and just kind of like hang. But he's holding on, he's hanging. Just like, oh shit, son. So that could be one idea. Where he either rolls off, so we'll call that sub option A, and then we'll call this one sub option B. I kind of like that, but again, it looks cool in my head and it sounds cool, but without practice doing stop motion, this might be a little much. Like, I'm more confident about doing the freaking CGI explosion than I am about making the car go over the edge, especially the midair part, because that means the shots would have to be taken with the vehicle suspended, so I would need materials to suspend it, or some kind of stick I could attach to the vehicle without damaging it, because I don't want to damage it. It was very expensive when I bought it, and I like it. I like to keep it as pristine as possible, so I don't obviously want to damage it. But I do kind of like that idea of like the runaway car, classic car going over the side of the cliff into a ball of fire type of deal. But let's see, this would require After Effects for compositing, as well as Maya for dynamics and simulation. Okay. So that's that. Should probably move on to another idea. Let's do... We could be real stupid with it and try to get the camera inside the car. So we have inside the car view, doors open, we have chair, blah blah blah. There's a chair here, here's a wheel, there's a stick, gear shift, all that good stuff. There's a window, and we could do the stupid challenge in stop motion, where we have our guy, you know, hopping out the car and doing a little dance as he like walks alongside the car. He's not really that flexible, and again, a stop motion dance just sounds like animation hell right now, especially because this was not exactly designed for stop motion. This was designed to just, you know, put it in a pose, get a reference, and sketch, you know, do your sketch. And I don't exactly have the experience making an armature stop motion rig, and there are some that you can buy online, but those are expensive as fuck. Not exactly something I want to buy just to be experimenting with. So I'm definitely going to be using as much ready-made, easily accessible materials that I have, just to, you know, ball on a budget, if you will. So, in my feelings challenge version, this is idea 4. I definitely don't think I want to do that. Yeah, I really don't think I want to do that. We could do something a lot simpler. Obviously, we could always go simpler. We could have, you know, a road. We have our car. Zoom, zoom, zoom. But instead, you know, it comes on the scene, you know, starting from here. This is 5. Well, actually, these are numbered down here, so I really don't need to number them. So anyway, like the beginning of it, you would see just the front part, like this. So you would have nothing, and then the vehicle would enter from the left and progress to the right, and it would move like really slow. Slow as fuck. And as it's coming, then it would be revealed that we have our little guy pushing the damn thing instead of, you know, it being driven. Because obviously when you first see the vehicle, especially if this is a close-up, you would see that there's no one driving. And it'll be kind of a him pushing the vehicle and struggling. With his hands being magnetic, we could definitely, you know, have it fixed on the car, which I'm pretty sure is metal. I'm not sure if it'll stick to or whatever. But then again, with the size of the guy, we'd probably have to shoot him separate and then composite him in. And then I would have to let's see if I can actually do like a pose like that, a good pushing pose. So hands, sure. Got the spine arched back. Definitely want to have him putting his back into it. And then have him kind of like leaned forward a bit, to where like if the car, you know, moves faster than him, he'd fall on his face, so his weight is actually pressed up against the car, so he'd be kind of like this. And then we'd have the legs exchange like so. But the advantage of doing this scene with him being shot separate, I could turn his part into a cycle and just do 2 steps. Basically just do 2 steps and turn it into like a push cycle. And then that way it would actually cut down on a lot of his movement and keep that down to a minimum by making it into a cycle. And then it gets to the little hill part and it could speed up, and then oh boy could fall on his face to give like an end to the to the animation. That doesn't sound to me overly complicated. I guess it would depend on how much I want to dress up the scene and whatnot. And this one would be mostly just straight up stop motion animation with a little bit of compositing, not much more to it, versus having him cling to the side of a cliff while the car explodes. You know, that's like compositing and dynamics and simulation, and then rigging up something to suspend the car with, which might present enough challenges on its own, because how would I hold it up in the air to take each shot? That's just kind of overly complex. I'm not really sure I want to go down that road. This particular scene seems a bit more safe as far as the complexity level of it. And again, it'll also limit, the complexity of the animation. And I think this one can be done relatively short. That's another thing. This one will be short and sweet. I really like this guy. This could really be doable in a decent time frame, as well as not have too many hiccups. I really don't like this one. I'm just gonna X this one out. But not delete the thing, because I want to keep it in there. This one's a big fucking question mark. Do I want to do this one? Because of this reason. I mean, control zoom out of this bitch. Or I could just do this. Nope, I don't want to do that. That way I can give myself a bit more space to work. One of the things I like to do in Toon Boom is work outside the boundaries of the shot, so I can put like notes and stuff like, this shit is crazy, and I often use it to leave myself notes like, this is crazy, or hey, fix this part right here, hey, take a look at this, so that way if I notice something but I want to come back and work on it later, there's that note that's like right there, so it's like, hey, don't forget about fixing that one thing, and then I can just go back and either erase the note or just don't worry about it, because it'll never be seen by the final animation. This one's doable. This one's short and sweet. The car would move faster. It doesn't involve another person, so in fact it's actually quite probably more simple than number 5. So I'm pretty much eliminating 4. It's up there just for the sake of argument. This one, on the other hand, is just as simple. It's a little bit more complex than this one. this one, drag race, I would need 2 cars. I only have 1 car. But again, I could just use some simple compositing and make, you know, do the whole thing twice, or do the whole thing once, duplicate it, shift it over, composite it in, change the color of the car so it's a different color, and then alter the no, I don't want to alter the frame rate, but I do want to do is alter the timing. I can do that in After Effects as well. I can slow it down a bit so that way, you know, I can alter one so that it basically so that it loses the race, so there is a winner instead of it being, you know, a tie. That's definitely doable. And then I could, if I was feeling froggy, maybe add in some smoke, a little tire burnout type of deal. That was also pretty doable. This one, I would also need compositing for the car in front and the car in the back. And then, but that would just be like a still shot composite versus a rolling video composite. So like this one, I could do in like Photoshop. And then I can like change the colors of the car. If I wanted to get really silly, I could Photoshop some wheels on there. Maybe Photoshop a person on the inside or something like that. Not necessarily needed for the project, but you know, something I could do. And doing the power slide will probably present some planning would definitely be needed. I couldn't just wing it as far as the arc of the car. I would definitely need to lay out some kind of path. So I would need path. So I would have to like lay out like a path on the ground or something. Not that this path will work, because in order to do that, it would have to be pretty much, well, the car would have to spin and then come sideways like that, and then kind of rest. So it'd be more of like that. And as it came around here, it would rotate to go from facing this way to facing that way. And I would have to lay this out like on the ground or something, maybe use some yarn, or it would have to be marked in a way that is not seen by the camera. So that way I can move the car to all the places that it needs to be, and then put it to a stop as I take the photos. Doing this path, I could also put tick marks. So like I can maybe mark the front driver wheel or something and have that as my reference point. And then on my path, I could simply time it out, like frame 1, you know, tires here. Then frame 4, tires here. Frames 8, you know, 12, and then so forth, like this. And just kind of like map out where I want that right tire to be, that driver tire. And then that will be the timing of the animation. It'll go like that. And basically the right tire would stay along the lines, and everywhere there's a tick mark is where I would snap the photo for the stop motion animation. And doing it this way has an added benefit of shot numbers. So say I mess up a shot, say shot 8, you know, the camera gets bumped, or somehow Baby J gets in the room and she decides to move the car. You know, I know on shot 8, I'm supposed to be on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I know the car is supposed to be right here. So that's kind of like an extra layer of security in the scene, kind of like built in the plan. Because, you know, one of the big things you want to do with any of your work is to freaking save it. And so when you're doing stop motion animation, you definitely want to make sure that there's nothing that's going to mess up your scene. Anybody bumping any cameras, any props, anything that's, you know, in the room where you're shooting your scene, you want to make sure that nobody, you know, does anything that's going to mess it up. So the duration of the filming part, I'll try to do it all in one shot so I don't have to worry about locking my room or anything like that. But in the event, I would, you know, just be like, hey, room's off limits, locking and shooting. So I'm really kind of is the pan scroll button not working? Apparently it doesn't. Okay, so my zoom works. My Control Z works. What is this? This is Alt, Control, Shift. Shift maybe? Nope, that just makes my line straight. I'll go ahead and undo those. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What did I just do? I did something. Ah, here we go. Hold on. There we go. I need to get rid of that. That button is dangerous. Radio menu. I never set up my shortcut buttons to work with Storyboard Pro, so forgive me for stumbling a bit there. So like I was saying, this having see, the space button does work, so why didn't it work down here? Oh, because it's pan scroll, not the straight space button, so I'll just use space. But now I'll deal with setting this thing up later. So this, I'll throw a star on this guy because it has, so in my head, the plan will have the layout of all my keyframes and where they're gonna be. So that's a real added benefit of being able to keep things in check. I mean, I could do the same thing here, but I wouldn't be able to shoot it from this angle. And then I would need the street paint. I need After Effects. Yeah, I can't think of anything else that I would need on this one. What about this one? I need After Effects. I would need Photoshop, maybe, instead of After Effects. I don't think I'll need both, unless I want to add smoke. Then I can get away with just Photoshop for this one. No, I'll still need After Effects. So I still need After Effects. And Photoshop for this guy. I'll only need Photoshop for like a few minutes. Unless I start to get a little overboard with it. Then what else? This shit is crazy. I would need After Effects, unknown equipment for the damn suspending the car in the air. I would need Maya, Maya, you know, for the explosion, or I can just do it without an explosion. But without the car being able to deform, I would need it for it to drop out of sight. Excuse me. I won't be able to really show, I mean, I can show an impact, but without any damage actually occurring to the car. So it's kind of like that, I don't think it will be received as well as seeing like an explosion, you know, that was just like a fireball and ball of smoke, like you don't even see the car anymore. You know, that's more of an impact than in a positive way versus the car just hitting the ground. Or wait for it. Or if the car, instead of going boom, or can I just duplicate this panel? Okay. See, this is why we need to number. Or instead of it going boom, so let's get rid of boom, no boom. So we doing away with the boom, and we doing away with the Maya. No Maya, no boom, and we don't need or. Instead of, so peep game. All right, so the car comes off, right, and it goes over the edge, like so. Oh boy jumps out, hangs over to the cliff. Oh shit, son, hanging for my life, right? The car magically pops, lands on its wheels, and then just rides off in the sunset like ain't nothing wrong with it. And now he's got to look at it like, ain't that a bitch? Like, I bailed out for no reason because the car was just fine. This part looks funky as fuck. So let's change this arc. I mean, obviously the car landing and then driving off is not believable, but I'd like for the arc at least to be a little bit more. So how about there's, I don't know, something that it hits and then it goes up higher. Or it does one of those arcs where it leaps up so much like that, you know, then he bails and falls. Oh shit, son. Now that it's up like that, it comes back down like this. And by the time it's here, it hits the ground and just rides off. Because it kind of goes, and he jumps out, and then it just smack, and then just rides off. That adds a little twist to the scene, gives it a little bit of something that most people wouldn't expect. You know, it's like Oh, I wasn't expecting that. And then if I really wanted to get crazy with it, I could, no, we're not doing that. Keep your crazy ideas inside your head. No, that's the whole point of this process, to kind of see the inside of how I work. We could zoom in and do some facial animations. Face, and that will be 2D. Just kind of like a, oh, fuck. Or goddamn. You know, something that he's just like surprised that, you know, the car landed and drove off. And that would involve lip syncing. But at the same time, I could show that process. So that would add After Effects. That would add Photoshop or Toon Boom, which would probably be Toon Boom. And we still need extra stuff for the car motion above the ground. Anytime the car is off the ground, I'm gonna need to remember, I'm gonna have to have a way to hold it in place while I take the photos. This is gonna be a little bit more complicated than I thought. So yeah, that shit is bananas. Undo that line. Hey, I said undo. Hey, I said undo. I really gotta get my Wacom shortcuts set up for this, for Storyboard Pro. I just gotta change a few buttons and I should be good, but not exactly something I'm gonna do right now. Oh, yeah, so. There's that stuff too. So, bit of a side note on some good news. Some people, well, not really people. I may, just maybe, very small chance, might be doing a sponsored stream soon for indie game company, which would be pretty cool. It'll be a sponsored stream, which means they will be paying me, yours truly, to play this game and see what's up. That would really be cool to do. That would definitely be something I would do on Twitch as opposed to YouTube or Picarto, as Twitch is definitely your gamer's platform. No disrespect to my Picarto or my YouTube, but Twitch is definitely more leaning towards the gamers. And if you guys aren't following me on Twitch, you really should, because I will definitely be streaming things there that I will not be streaming here, based on feedback from some of my loyal fans. I will be doing different streams for different channels. So unless something changes with Picarto and YouTube, those two will remain the same streams. Unless I'm doing something extra naughty, that would be a Picarto exclusive. Other than that, it'll be pretty much a YouTube Picarto stream, and then have Twitch streams where I doing my Twitch exclusives. At the moment, I'm going to be moving forward with my card game, so I'll be doing that on Twitch. And I believe I'm just gonna keep this animation project YouTube and Picarto. So if you don't see it live on YouTube or Picarto, it'll be on my Picarto website. not Picarto, but YouTube channel. You know what I meant. And then the Twitch stuff, I need to set up a video on demand for Twitch. I don't even know if I can have that as an affiliate. I'll have to look into that. If so, then people can see the VOD for Twitch on Twitch. Back to brainstorming here. Okay, so this one, I would need a cliff. How the hell would I come up with a cliff? I mean, there's definitely various surfaces. I got this, other things that can be, I don't know, maybe converted into some kind of dire cliff with a little bit of set dressing. This guy, since this is kind of a street focus, this one will be simpler set dressing. We can use some boards, some paints, and that will be pretty much it to, you know, set up the street. And I don't even think I would need paints unless I want to make it like an illegal street race that's taking place like on the street, because most drag strips don't have the painted lines on the street. There's no need to. It's one direction that you go, and everything's pre set up before the race, so there's really no need for like having like yellow lines and white lines and stuff like that. This has potential to rule. What the fuck is a rule? So this could roll into 2. So I could actually do this where it's the like top down shot of the cars like racing each other. Maybe have one pull ahead and another one pull ahead, and it's kind of like a back and forth, and then it rolls into this shot where it turns out they're not racing, you know, to be racing. They're trying to get to the freaking parking spot. So it would be start off with the race, vroom, 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 and then it goes, and then the guy swerves into the parking spot. You know that was the win of the race. The winning of the race was getting to the parking spot. I actually kind of like that idea. It's 2 different shots. We'll do 2 different angles. It'll kind of combine some different skills. Definitely could work and make something a little bit more interesting. And kind of like add to the lore of it, as per se, because you know this guy, he wins the race, so he gets the parking spot, and then we could have like let's duplicate this guy. This is going to be an alt, so let me zoom out. Alt to where after this guy zooms in, I'm just going to pick this light blue color right here. Then you have other guy in a car. Doop doop doop. No, he just rolls right past, and he's in the car, and he's got his fist up, just like, you motherfucker, you know, because he got the last parking spot or whatever. I like that idea. I kind of like that quite a bit. And I like that more than the slow as fuck push, then fall, and then it rolls. And then even here, if I decided that I didn't want to do, because this guy, really, I could just film him at a seated position. Don't even need him at a seated position. Just kind of like, because from this angle, we'd be looking at the passenger side of the door. But that doesn't necessarily mean we won't be able to see inside unless I decide to, I don't know, maybe get some tape, put it over the windows, and then blacken them out with some paint. That way I can peel the tape off, or I could just use electrical tape and stop being a dumbass. Use some electrical tape and mask the windows out really carefully, maybe with an X-Acto knife, cut some of the tape, and then I would blacken out the windows so you didn't see inside. That was like, you know, tinted windows or whatever. That's possible, because my car does have the tinted windows, so it'll definitely match up anyway. And then that way I wouldn't actually, you know, need a person inside the vehicle. But I do kind of like the idea of, you know, that somebody flipped them off, you know, like, fuck you, or, oh, you motherfucker. I really like that idea. So I don't want to necessarily throw it out the window just yet. I want to keep that rolling around in the old noggin there. This dude's straight doing a Matrix. I wasn't even intended for him to do that. Now I kind of am intentionally posing him, but he's just like, he was like on my desk just like that. I'm just like, oh. I got my my Prisma color box. It's made out of metal, and he's got the little metal magnets or whatever. So that's that. Now I'm kind of leaning more towards combining these two ideas into one. I mean, because this would be simple as fuck. Like, I don't even have to animate two cars. I can just animate one car and then just alter one animation to fit the rival car or whatever. And then I would probably have this car be the victor, because it'll make more sense that he's, you know, lined up more for the get into the parking spot. Yeah, I like this beat. This shit's kind of funky. I like that, combining these two into one. So actually it'll be this guy and this guy. Let's move how do I pull this? I need this right here and do it like that. Okay, there we go. So there's that. I really like that. The freaking, you know, starts off, you know, street race. You're like, okay. These guys are racing. The other thing I could do, which might be easier and kind of bootleg at the same time, is instead of animating the cars, I could animate the street. So maybe animate the street. because I could make the street out of some boards and paint the lines, so you have the dotted line or whatever, and the cars could pretty much stay in one spot, and then maybe inch it forward a little bit, inch it forward a little bit, and I just basically keep the car where it is and slide the street underneath it, so it's the street that's moving and not the car. That might prove simpler than pulling the car along if I want to keep like this kind of angle. And also have to think about the space I'm working with. So if I want to do the car along a street, and if I want to, I mean, I guess I could cycle. No, because either way, if I paint the lines on the street, that's gonna need to move, and it's gonna need to move in the opposite direction of the cars. So either I'm going to have to move the car along and film it, or I'm going to have to move the street up underneath it. I can't just like have the street static and move the vehicle unless I also move the camera. And I don't think I want to be having a camera doing movements while I'm doing stop motion animation. That's probably asking for way too much. Yeah, that's probably asking way too much. I can't believe I'm using this program. Like, I probably haven't opened it since I was in school. I really hate storyboarding, but I don't want to just wing it completely, being as I'm not comfortable with the process. Yeah, I definitely don't want to just wing this. So storyboards it is. Let's see. Doing the cars along the street, I would have to move the camera, I think. Unless it was a far back shot and then the cars just kind of like zoomed off into the distance. And it kept the race section very short. So just like a zero, like you see the street, you know, there's nothing there, and then the cars whiz by, just like zero. And then after there's like a pause, and then it goes to the second shot, and it's skirt into the parking lot, and then raw by. I kind of like the idea of having them racing for us a bit more than just a kind of like blur by, even though that will be less work. By doing the back and forth kind of, or just kind of like and then somebody comes up and then passes, like and then go into that car, snagging the parking spot. That could be effective. So I really want to lay in a little bit of anticipation, because you know, that's kind of like one of those fundamental things. That said, with the zoom by, I could build that anticipation with just a shot stagnant without any vehicles being seen, because you're kind of like expecting something to happen, and typically that something will happen left to right. It doesn't always have to go left to right. There's no like magic rulers or anything on that. But just, you know that something's gonna happen. It's just by setting up the scene and then putting the R's to zoom by would make for a faster animation. I could possibly maybe throw it in After Effects for a little bit of motion blur. Or I could do a little motion blur touch up in Photoshop. Let's see. Pardon me. Just woke up not too long ago. Yeah, I think that's how that would work. I think I would do either. I mean, once I decided I wanted to go through with this and actually start doing it, I could do like, I don't know, 4 or 5 frames as a test to see how I like the way it looks. There's definitely nothing wrong with doing a bit of test. It's not like, you know, I'm doing a bunch of crazy stuff to where even if I try it, you know, it's gonna set me back. You know, it's not, you know, I already have all this stuff. The only thing I would be doing is making this street, which won't be too difficult, because I'll just use some black board, and then, you know, get some white paint, some yellow paint, yada yada yada, easy peasy. And then I don't even have to do yellow paint. Maybe I'll do a little yellow on the right hand side and then keep white. And I guess I could do yellow again. Let's see. So we got, doing this though, I would need definitely some extra compositing and image manipulation / photo editing, video editing type stuff to change the colors of the car so they're not all the same color car, because obviously I only have one car model. And then here I would definitely need to measure out the spaces and make some parking spots with the lines. Even if I don't show the lines, I need to space it out and scale, so that way I can have the cars parked and make sure I have enough room for the action car to come into the scene. And then once that's stagnant, I can have another scene of the car riding by that I will composite into. So I'll probably want to set up a green screen area. Maybe in like a corner or something, get some green poster board. It doesn't have to be green. I could do blue. Probably better off with green though. Or I could try to do it with because like for this scene, when the car is rolling by, like I could really get away with just like a side shot, and then I could cut out the wheels on like an image. So just like just one image, and then cut out the wheels, and then just animate the wheels rotating in either Photoshop or After Effects. I think that will be both simple and effective. That way I only have to set up one shot with a green background, or however I want to do it, cut it out, and just, or I don't even have to do a green background, because I could just, I'm be taking it into Photoshop anyway. I can go ahead and just mask it out, no big deal. And then if I want to add in the guy, you know, like, you motherfucker or whatever, I could do that. And then if I really wanted to combine some shit just to really push myself, I could film myself, composite myself into the animation as the person, you know, you motherfucker. I think that would be kind of funny. And I could do that. I could do that with just my desktop my webcam, or I could do my phone and use my actual car, which is pretty much the same as our model car, slightly different. I'd have to zoom in to like the pretty much just where the window is. I do have modifications on my car, so it's not exactly the same as that one. Just so you would see myself and just enough of the inside to see that, you know, that it's an actual person in an actual car, and it's not the stop motion model. That actually might be kind of cool to try to pull off, but then I'd also have to worry about the angle of the shots for the compositing. I have to worry about the angle, and then I have to worry about the lighting, which would be very difficult to set up because I don't have professional lights. As one of the two of the biggest things for compositing, in order to make it look real, in my opinion, I'm pretty sure there's various other opinions, but I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people who would agree with me that the perspective of the shot, the angle, your vanishing point needs to be the same for what you're compositing and your live footage, and then the lighting needs to be from the same angle and intensity. If you can get those two things to match up perfectly, then you'll have a hell of a lot easier time making your composited footage look like it belongs with your stock footage. That's just how it is. And then it will definitely put myself in the animation in a different way than I've done before, like actual, like, physically in there. So that way it will be one shot that incorporates stop motion, live action, 2D animation, with the cutout of the wheels. What else could we incorporate in that bitch? We can maybe add some dust particles. So add maybe like a little particle. So that's 3D animation. Putting that all together would actually be kind of fun to see what I could pull off. It's actually not a bad idea to try to do 2D and 3D and stop-mo all in one project. And if I can pull it off and make it look nice, then I think it would be pretty fucking cool. But I definitely want to keep the actual live action part to a minimum, and it will probably be just me in the seat of my car, you know, kind of like, you motherfucker. If I decide to do it inside of my car, because there's always the option of just doing myself in like a seated position and just kind of like I'm hanging out the window. That's definitely an option. I think lighting is going to be a very big challenge with this, especially if I decide to add in all those. The good part about that plan is I could always cut my part out and it won't take, people would never know that there was something missing. I could cut out the dust particles for the street race part. Like if it's not looking right, like I could always take that part out. And nobody would know it was supposed to be there, but you know, the cool kids in the stream, I really like this idea, and I really like mashing up a couple of different animation techniques. I really like blending things, and I really like taking advantage of different, you know, different forms of animation. And just because this is my first stop motion project, there's no reason that it has to be purely stop motion if I don't want it to be. It is my birth month, and I do what I want. This beat right here. And this is some groovy shit right here. Let that beat build. So okay now. All right. I really like this, the whole racing for the parking spot. Street race into the parking spot. And then let's go back to this idea. Again, we will be doing explosion. I mean, this, I could do dust particles in either After Effects or Maya. I'd have to brush up on both, but I think doing After Effects dust particles would probably be a lot less computer intensive for one. Doing like a 3D simulation box, Maya wants to worry about all the details when it comes to doing a 3D simulation in Maya. Maya wants to know about the gravity, Maya wants to know about the wind, Maya wants to know about freaking turbulence, air pressure. Maya gets down into the nitty-gritty with the simulation. Like, you gotta, the physics are real. Like, the shit's in there. Like, the shit's in there. Like, for example, when I created my fire explosions and all my other fire simulations, it's not like I just said, hey, be fire. No, I'm setting like air pressure and temperature and freaking material for like combustion and all that kind of stuff. Like it's just like, it's like all the real world physics of a fire. Like you don't just say, hey, be fire, and you know, model a fire, and just, no, you just set up all the physics, then you be like, play, and then poof, the shit explodes in the fucking fire. It's really fucking cool. That being said, I would also need, you know, other stuff to kind of like really kind of like blend it in, but doing a 3D fire into some stop motion, I don't think it'll be too crazy. At least I hope it don't be too crazy. I mean, there are some studios, you know, back in the day, they used to build models and then blow the motherfuckers up, you know, using actual explosives, but like firecracker type size explosives. But they would put them in these models that they actually built and just blow them shits up. Like, pretty freaking wild. How they used to do it back in the day. So that's that. And there's this, meh, we don't like that idea. And then there's this one. It's short and sweet, to the point, pushing a car, it rolling and getting faster, and then smacking your face. This one's definitely more achievable, and certainly will be a lot easier to pull off. And I could probably get away with doing that today. Like, I could make a hill of some sort out of some stuff and things and just have at it with the car, and then set up, you know, have my camera, do my little guy to make his cycle. That being said, the whole purpose is to learn. So hopefully you guys maybe learn something along with me as I'm learning this as well. I mean, the other stuff, like I've done before, so I'm kind of like, I'm sure I can pull it off, at least to some extent. But it's just the stop motion section of it is where it's just like, how is this gonna go? Is this gonna go smooth? So we should probably do like, I don't know, a poll or something where people are like, this is gonna go horribly wrong. And someone else is gonna be like, oh, it's gonna be completely smooth and everything's gonna go as planned. And hell, I wouldn't even vote for that option, because none of my animations, zero, nada, zilch, none of them have ever gone 100% to plan. Which is why I don't plan. Like, I got tired of planning. It's like, I mean, I don't completely not plan. I just try to not plan everything down to the smallest detail, because I know when I do plans down to the smallest detail, I know those plans will go to the wayside like halfway through it. That's why I like to just get like a basic idea of, hey, this is the kind of stuff that's gonna happen, and then I just start doing it, and then from there it's like either it works and I keep at it, or it doesn't work and I try something else. Or it does work, but it's just like maybe not as exciting that I thought it would be. So I was just like, maybe I want to try something else. And that's how my animations go. For those who have watched the stripper animation, it's like they saw it live and in color. Like, hey, I tried to do this. That's not working. You know what? Let's just scrap that completely and do something different. Which is why I don't like to plan things down in like this tiniest details. That being said, if that is not your process and you need to have a plan of action from the beginning, then by all means do what works for you. Not planning everything, every single last detail so far for me has worked out pretty well. I feel that it produces more expressive animation. It produces it allows me to be free in my creativity and how I do things. It's just how I roll. It's like I mean, that's how I roll now. Like I used to try to, you know, do a lot of planning, but then I just like, you know what? How about I just start from here and then go and see what comes about. This is not some it sounds like some Sunday morning preacher background testifying type music right there. And this shit right here on some low budget shaft shit right here. That waka waka. Get that wah wah in there. So on that note, I am going to take a small break to use the facilities, and then I shall return. So let me put this on my pause screen. Oh, we got the script. Yeah, boy. Okay, I'm back on the scene, as it were. Okay, about the stream, I am probably going to come to a decision about what I want to stop motion animate tonight, and then that would be a wrap. I'll probably take I think I want to take a break, eat a little lunch, and then come back. So I do want to check on a few things, and then I will plan out. Well, people did say they wanted to see the planning process. So after this, I need to set up some prep. I'll need to prep my materials. I will need to get my model. I'll need to clean it up. I want to dust it off because it's pretty dusty. And then I want to collect some boards, collect some paints, get T-handle, T-ruler, I mean, whatever you call the damn thing. A ruler. So I can make some straight lines. So at first I was thinking for the car that I would get like some either some fishing line or some dental floss or something, and tie that underneath the suspension of the vehicle, and I can like pull it along. That way I can be like taking the photos, moving it, taking the photos. But that being said, I don't know if that really gives me any kind of advantage versus not having the string there, and I can just move the car along and, you know, take my photos, as it were. Or if I'm gonna move the street, I'll need to pull the street along and keep the cars relatively in the same spot, which may or may not present a challenge. So I'll need to figure out how I'm going to approach that. I'll do that when it's actually time to do some shooting. Either way, I'm going to have the street painted, so that'll need time to dry. Unless I just not use the freaking... Normally when I paint with acrylics, and when I'm mixing up my paints, mixing my colors, I almost always, just out of habit, I mix in the retarder so it doesn't dry as fast. And I usually mix a fair amount in that because it gives me time to work, but not too much because I don't want it to take all day to dry, because I have cats and cats knock shit over. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I like acrylic, because it does, you know, dry relatively quick. So I probably just won't do that, won't mix anything in, and just use the paints as they were. So that way they dry relatively quickly, and it'll be a small amount, so it shouldn't take long to dry anyway. So, but I definitely want to make sure it's really solid dry before I start putting, you know, objects on top of it and have them driving or whatever. So I'll do the street, and then I will have to... I can use just one board, and I can use the back of a board that I've already been used. I've got plenty of scrap boards. Make the street, make the parking area, make the measurements for the parking area, or if I use a newer board, I can flip it over so I have like the street scene on one board, and flip it over and then have the stuff lined out for the parking area, and then I can map all that out depending on how long the boards are. The boards are fairly long. They're about yay. They're about, if I can get all the way into the camera, they're probably about yay, if not longer. and then the car itself is probably about yay. So I could definitely have enough room to for like the one shot, and then have enough room to have a car here, the empty space, and then the car, and then have him skirt. Oh, hopefully that didn't tear anything up, bumping the mic. You know, squirt into the parking lot. You know, it's got to make that sound. Squirt. That's how you do it. So he power slides, he or she or whatever, power slides into the parking spot, and then the angry driver comes by, the loser of the race, you know, damn you kids or whatever. The old man fish shake. And then what else would I need to set up beforehand? Let me set up my motherfucking room. I got a lot of clutter, so I'll need to get that out the way. And then set up an area for filming. I'll probably use one of my desks, either my other desk. I have two desks. I have like my computer desk, and then I have like an additional desk in the middle of the room for eating and watching shit on the big projection, as well as taking notes while I'm playing video games or whatever. And then I also got my TV stand, which doesn't actually have a TV on it. And also use that as a platform for setting things up. And then I was thinking that I could probably use my microphone stand as a crane for the camera. That way I can have my camera in more of a fixed position, so I could like disconnect my microphone from the control arm for my microphone, and then use my other stand that the microphone came with. It's like a little, basically like a little tripod, and I can secure the microphone to that for the stream, and then I can use that as my microphone, and then I could set up my portable earbuds, use that for audio, so that way I can move them around without being tethered to the computer, without giving feedback to the stream from, you know, background music or whatever. Only thing about that is, because it's Bluetooth and wireless, there's a, you know, a finite amount of energy that I could use before I would have to recharge or switch to wired. So that's that. And then we would need to set up some other stuff. And then I also got a chair that's like half assembled that I'm working on. There's some stuff that doesn't quite fit where it's supposed to, so this thing might actually end up getting sent back. And then there's another part that was like broke, pretty much a cosmetic thing, so I was gonna overlook it, but if it's got cosmetic break and I can't put the damn thing together because of screws not fitting, then I'm definitely going to have to be like, y'all motherfuckers, either gonna send me some replacement parts or give me my damn money back. You get freaking Show Ryuken in the nuts, just all up in there. So that would be kind of the plan of attack. Now the question is, which scene do we choose? We definitely don't want this one, because fuck this shit. This one will be kind of crazy. And then again, let's see, what would I do about the cliff? I could use a desk, a table. I could, since it's actually still photos, like I could use my phone and go outside. Maybe get like a really close shot of like some kind of a rock or something that looks like, you know, the bottom of like some kind of mountain or whatever, and just get like a really close shot at like an upward angle, so that way you would only see like the sky and like the oh shit, I need to sketch this out. This is something totally different and could totally be a lot hella easier. So we have, where's my damn wheel? So we have cliff, right? So we got the shot. So we'll see, damn it, not that. We'll have sky. You got, you know, sky, wiggly, wiggly, wiggly. Got sky, all right? And then you'll have just pretty much rock. Like this, right? So all of this would be rock. Rock, 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 rock. Rock, 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 rock. Just like you're looking up at like a mountain or something, right? And then you're just chilling, chilling, chilling. This is what, number 6? Yeah, this is brainstorm idea number 6. And so, and then basically the car would come zooming out like this. So it would be, you're looking up at the rock, and then it's like looking up and seeing the car come over the edge. Like, oh shit, like this motherfucker just drove his car off the cliff. And in doing that, really, I would just have to animate very little. It actually wouldn't be that much stop motion involved, because from what I'm envisioning, it's take a still shot of the rock. You can take a still shot of the car from underneath and you basically just composite that in and just have it, you know, move and just, you know, come towards the camera and basically like lands on the camera. So it's just like zero, pow. All right. But it's not really any stop motion to it. There's like zero stop motion. There's practically just compositing with images and doing some image manipulation for the animation. So this is not stop mo. So I don't really like that idea. Just for the purposes that kind of defeats the point of doing this whole project, is to do some fucking stop motion. So I don't think we like number 6 either. Unless we start here, right. Car comes up, shoots over, comes down to a blackout because it's like in our face in the camera. And then from there, it transitions to the car landing and then driving off. And then that would all be stop motion. It would be the landing, bloop, bloop. Landing and then going off. Which again would be kind of like a twist, because you're thinking, oh shit, you know, somebody just drove off a freaking cliff. Like there's no way themselves or the car survived. But instead it just kind of like lands on the ground and just keeps on going. Simpler to complete than the first ideas, especially since we stitched 2 ideas together. So let's just call this 6B, because this whole thing is dependent on this whole thing. So that's definitely not completely out the window. It could definitely be a backup plan if the first one doesn't go well. But I just think this one's kind of boring. Like, from a ease of animation standpoint, it's excellent. Like, I think it'll be super easy to do. It won't present too many challenges. With the second part, there's actually some stop motion added into it, so it's not like a complete fake stop motion project. Or I could borrow some ideas from the other project where after this, there's the car from underneath, right? So we got the car from underneath. You got wheels, you got wheels, you got wheels, you got wheels. The door flipping comes open, right? So you can see inside the car a little bit, just a little bit maybe from that angle. And then old boy jumps out the fucking car like, oh shit. Alright. So you see old boy just kind of like jump out the car. And then maybe we can have him just like hit the ground and do like a little tuck and roll type of deal, right? And then he kind of like sits up, maybe wipes his forehead like, whew, I'm alive, yeah. And then later we see the car hit the ground and roll off. Essentially, this is the exact same as this guy, but instead it involves two camera angles and is a little bit more dynamic. And then this one also has like the extra element of like that up close of like a rock. So it'll probably look more like a mountain or something, you know, especially if I can find a good enough angle. Or maybe I can, you know, snag some stock footage of like a rock face or something like that, or a mountain, up looking at a mountain or some kind of stock image or something like that that I could use. That would definitely cut down on the amount of work, but it's just one photo, so I can, you know, take quite a few and then get the one that I need. Hey, I found this magnet for old man that goes in his right foot. I'll leave that right where it is. That way I know where it is until I forget again. And then it's, you know, it's that, hey, I did that type of deal. So rock, jump out the car. And then see, that one will also involve some stop motion for the door opening. And then we'd have the guy coming out of the car. And then we cut to the shot of him hitting the ground, tucking and rolling, or maybe landing on something soft. Maybe he could like land in like a little dumpster or something that's full of trash bags. So I could get like I don't know, like little Ziploc bags. Not those little Ziploc bags, you fucking drug heads. Just like some small Ziploc bags, you know, fill them up with like cotton balls or something to give them some volume, and then put like little twist ties or something on to make them really look like, you know, little sacks of trash. And then I could have them like just like land on like the pile of trash, and then he just kind of like sits up like, whew, and just kind of does like a you know, forehead wipe, like, oh man, I lived. I think I could accomplish that with this guy, because he doesn't, his movement is very limited. But if he's just like mostly sunk into the bags of trash to where you just see like the top part, and then I could like hide, you know, where my finger would be, and just kind of like take each shot of him just kind of like, whew, and then maybe he drops his head. Like, I can't believe I just did that. I freaking jumped out of a car, you know, that flew off a cliff, and I landed in some bags of trash, and I just happened to live. Completely unrealistic, but damn it, that's animation. Share what I'm thinking. It's what I'm supposed to do. Streaming. Okay, so I was thinking just now, when he hits the bags of trash, I could probably get like some photos of like some cans or maybe some bottles and things like that, and kind of like have that get like tossed up into the air, you know, as he hits the pile of trash or whatever. And I can take pictures of, you know, like cans and bottles and stuff like that, and obviously I would scale everything down to be appropriate to the size of our guy. And then, you know, composite those back into the scene. Definitely not beyond my means. It'd definitely be quite easy to have him land on some trash and then do a kind of, man. And then we cut to the car landing and then driving away, and then you just kind of like cut back to him, and he just like really? Like, really, did that just happen? That would be kind of fun. Okay. Hold the fuck up. What if, alright, stay with me now. Stay with me. What if this is the end of what happens to the guy who loses the race? Like, so the first guy steals his parking spot, and because he's like looking and yelling, like looking back and yelling at him for stealing his parking spot, he's not paying attention to where he's driving, and so he just smooth drives off the motherfucking cliff. I think that adds like more of a completion to the story, instead of it being, you know, as simple as it is. Just kind of like really step up the complexity by adding in the multiple angles, you know, a beginning, middle, and end, having some action. I can throw in some soundtrack, like get one of my beats that I've already made. My Beat That Bitch beat will work perfectly fine for this. And so I will basically be deleting the In My Feelings challenge, deleting the Slow as Fuck, Fall to the Face. I will be getting rid of those two ideas and basically combining the two better ideas into one animation. And then I would just have to redo my storyboards, kind of rearrange them, delete all the shits that I don't want to keep. Maybe, if people would like to see how to use Toon Boom Storyboard Pro 4.1 to make it animatic, I will do that process. Personally, I don't feel that's a process I need to do for this particular project because I'm working by myself. I don't need anybody else to know the timing. I just have to have it in my head. But if people want to see that process, I could show you how to do an animatic, a very basic bitch animatic. An animatic is pretty much your storyboards timed to where the animation is going to take place. So if you see like this shot on screen for 5 seconds and then it moves to the next shot, that means that the animation on this shot will take actually 5 seconds, and it times the entire thing out so that people know exactly how much animation they're doing, how many frames there need to be, how long is the camera going to be at this angle, yada yada yada, like the whole shebang bang. For me, in my process, completely unnecessary, but it is a pretty much a standard step in production. Even live action films oftentimes will use like an animatic with their storyboards to just kind of like show how the how the movies are gonna play out. And some people often, your animatic will be very detailed, and some will have to where your characters are on model and everything looks almost exactly like the final product will do, with the exception of maybe it won't be in fully color, maybe it'll just be grayscale, and it might not be 100% smoothed out animation. It'll be like your keyframes, your breakdowns, and a few in-betweens, but not all the in-betweens. So you'd get so say you have a punch, you'd have here, you'd have here, you'd have here, you have here, and you have the impact, and then you have to follow through. You'd have probably that much up, so it'd be kind of like that instead of the smooth that you would have in the final animation. But as far as when it starts and when it stops will be on time for the final product, and that's the purpose of the animatic. It really kind of plans out everything. You get all these panels in there and you do all this drawing, and it's just a lot of fucking work. A lot of fucking work. I'm not knocking the animatic process though. I'm not. It's just not for me. It really isn't. It's just one of those things that are just, it's in my wheelhouse. I just don't like doing it. I just really do not like doing it. I hate it. I really do. I just don't like the process at all. I don't like how I tend to change things up. And then with me, it's if I have a super detailed plan, I feel almost obligated to stick to it. And it's then I start second guessing myself. Even if I have an idea that I feel is honestly better, I'll not want to do that idea because it's not in the plan. Stick to the plan. That's how people get fucked up. You don't stick to the plan. But that's a whole nother dialogue session, if you would. But that's me in animatics. I probably have said that a bazillion times now. I don't fucks with the animatics. But if people would like to see the steps in that process for learning purposes, I'll be more than willing to go through creating an animatic to some degree. It definitely won't be a baller ass animatic. It'll be a basic bitch animatic. But it will be for those who would like to see how that purpose is. You can also use, if you have some kind of video editing software, you can take thumbnails that you do in Photoshop and just put those in your video editing software and essentially just make a slideshow. If you're working by yourself, you're not in a studio, there's no need to make that investment in Toon Boom Storyboard Pro. There's just no need, because essentially you're just using it to draw and have a bunch of thumbnails. I mean, that's all these are just basically thumbnails. They're just sketches. They're just doodles and squiggles for me to get my thought process out while showing you, giving you some kind of indication of what I see in my head. You could very easily do that with paper. So if you're, animator working on your own and you're just doing little personal projects just for shits and giggles, or if you're doing a game, or if you want to do a story, or some other kind of visual project, you don't need to spend that kind of money for a Toon Boom storyboard, especially not the pro version. You can just do thumbnail sketches on paper and just call it a day, because they will serve the same purpose. That being said, Toon Boom Pro does have some nice features. You can bring in audio clips. So if you have like some recorded dialogue of like some character speaking, you can put that right into your animatic. You can put in different notes and stuff like that. You can put in you know, different things about how long a panel lasts, what frame it starts, you know, what scene it is, what shot number it is, all that kind of good stuff. And then if you're doing like a 2D animation, you can, you know, have your brushes in there that you're going to use in like Toon Boom Harmony. So you can use the same brushes if you make like a custom brush or have different brush settings, you know, for your tool properties and stuff like that. So there's definitely some features in there that are quite helpful. And of course, it plays nice with Toon Boom Harmony because it's a Toon Boom product. And Toon Boom Storyboard Pro also works very well with Photoshop because there are some people that like to draw in Photoshop and would rather draw their stuff in Photoshop and then bring it into Toon Boom Storyboard Pro to use for the animatic. So if you want to do like your backgrounds or something in Photoshop, and then you can just bring those in. You don't even have to export them. You can just straight bring in the PSD file and they can go right into Toon Boom Harmony or Toon Boom Stage or Toon Boom Storyboard Pro. You can pretty much just take your PSD file and just load it right in. There's actually a benefit of doing that if you're using Toon Boom Harmony to animate. If you bring in your Photoshop file, you can keep the layers, and if you keep the layers, you can have it set up for parallax when you're doing your camera moves. So if you have like your trees and your different, you know, distances in the background, you have everything separated like that with the layers. You can set them up so that your parallax just goes right like it's supposed to. And you definitely want to have that parallax action if you're doing a 2D animation, or I mean, it's just going to naturally happen with like a 3D animation. But for a 2D animation, you need to set up your different layers and your depth, so that way you can get the parallax action. If anyone does not know what parallax means, parallax is basically the visual effect of objects in the distance moving at a slower rate than the objects that are closer to you. So if you imagine if you're in a car and you're looking outside, how like the grass and trees and stuff that are closest to the car just kind of like whips by, versus the stuff that's in the background, like way off in the distance, like maybe a building or like a mountain or like another tree, but it's just like way away. It does this, you know, as you're sitting in the car and riding along, you know, as you're looking out your window, it'll kind of do that, versus the street lights and, you know, buildings that are on the same street that you are, they'll do this, while the stuff in the way back will do this. That's parallax. Hopefully my explanation was comprehensible. Like, I don't know any other way to explain it. I think I explained that pretty well. But you can also achieve parallax in like After Effects or Photoshop even. It's not like a Toon Boom Harmony exclusive thing. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely not. Like there's other ways that you can do that. Because like I said in other streams, while I do enjoy, you know, the Toon Booms and Mayas and stuff like that and Photoshops, there are other programs that have similar functions and will serve you just well. You know, if you know, Toon Boom is not in your budget, there's lighter versions of Toon Boom that have less features, and most of the time those features are not going to be used by anybody who's not like in a big studio production. A lot of times those features aren't even in smaller studios. Like they don't need all that fancy stuff. And then like some of the networking features, like being able to collaborate with different people at different workstations and stuff like that on a network, and share files, and have one person do something in a scene and it updates in another person's scene. Like that stuff's cool and you're in a big studio, but if you're not in a big studio, you might not necessarily need to pay for all that. You can just be like, hey motherfucker, here's the updated scene file. Like, you know, just walk over to him or turn around because he's sitting right there, because you're in like a smaller setting. So that collaboration is a lot it's a lot easier, and you don't necessarily need all like the network settings. And it sounds like that oh my god, I don't know if you guys ever watch Wildin' Out, the show with Nick Cannon. This beginning sounds like the at the family reunion song. They be like, at the family reunion, who we introducing? Who we introducing? That shit be funny as hell. I don't know if y'all watch that show. I watch it sometime. I really like the Wild Style. And they be going ham on that show. That shit is pretty cool. I like ad-lib shows, stuff like that. Like Whose Line Is It Anyway? You know, I like stuff like that where it's just people, you know, going off the top. But sometimes it's pretty fucking funny. And then off the top stuff really be like the funniest. Like one of my most favorite scenes from Next Friday is when Day Day is in there talking about Baby D and how she eats the fat snacks and she knows about the bootleg snacks before they hit the streets. And she be standing there breathing, not even sleep, just be sitting there snoring, just that whole scene was all ad-libbed. Like freaking Mike Epps ad-libbed all that shit. None of that shit is in the script. I know for a fact because I read the actual script because I had to for a class. Like the only thing that was scripted in Mike Epps was Ice Cube was supposed to say, you mean to tell me you got a restraining order on a little girl named Baby D? And then Mike Epps, Day Day was supposed to be like, you don't know Baby D. And that was the end of the scene. That was it. That's the only thing that's in the script. All that 10-15 minutes of him just clowning, all that was ad-lib. Freaking Ice Cube just had to sit there and just listen to it and try not to laugh, you know, and ruin the scene because he was just going off the top with it. Like I really love stuff like that. It's pretty interesting, and it becomes even more interesting when you find out that that wasn't in the script. That was just like something that the person in the moment in that character just decided to do, where he just came with it. It's like, man, this fat bitch get physical. Just be standing there snoring. You know about all the new snacks before they hit the streets. All the bootleg snacks. The 2000 snacks. I love that fucking scene. That shit's funny as hell. So we got our plan of action. We've got to have deserted road, roll into the race. Race is gonna cut to the parking spot. Skirt. Parking spot. Gonna transition with the guy who will be me. Maybe. No. We're not gonna do me. We're gonna do mannequin. We'll like put him in some kind of box or something, or maybe a cup. Maybe I could do a cup. Just so I can have like just, you know, him kind of like doing something like this, like, hey, you motherfucker. And he's kind of like leaning out. I want to have him almost leaning completely out the car, just like looking back, like, you motherfucker. Where it's obvious he's not watching where the fuck he's driving. He's just gonna be, you motherfucker. Or whatever he's gonna scream out, you know, you punk ass bitch. And then that's gonna roll into him going over the cliff, hopping out, landing on the trash bag, being like, whew, I'm alive. And then he's gonna kind of like look, like, what the fuck? And then the car is gonna land. Or do I want the car to land first? Do I want to show him jumping out, hitting the... Okay. Trying to put myself in viewer mode. So I'm watching. This guy just lost a race. He lost his parking spot. Now his car just went over a cliff and he jumps out the car. I kind of feel like I would be more concerned about the person than the car. Maybe? It all depends on the car? I mean, like, if that was like, yeah, an Acura TL, I would be more concerned about the car than this person I don't know. Like, oh no, the car. Or if it was like a Tesla Model S, I would definitely be more worried about the car than some random joker I don't know. Especially when he was, you know, being an asshole. Well, he wasn't really the asshole now, was he? Because the other guy stole the parking spot from him. Or did he steal the parking spot? What do you think? He just got there faster. It's not like he was sitting there waiting with his, you know, turn signal on or anything like that, you know? They were both racing for it. Oh boy won. Okay, what kind of angle we have for the you motherfucker scene? Because it's going to be composited into the car. So I could have like a back shot, right hand, and just kind of like, something kind of like, you see this? As it moves along with the car. That could be a thing. And then he goes off screen, and then it cuts to looking up at the rock, and then having the car come shooting over the top, and just have it go shroom, just kind of like shroom, kind of like that kind of view. And then the door, as it goes shroom, the door pops open, and he jumps out. So he comes down like the left side of the screen, while the vehicle disappears overhead. And he comes like this. So then we would switch to another shot of him falling into the trash bags. And then looking up, looking around, probably look left, look right. Like he can't believe he's still alive. White forehead. And then kind of like look, do that head tilt, and then that's when we see the car landing perfectly fine and just riding off into the sunset. And then if we are feeling froggy, then we could have the ass end of the car window, some shit, blah, blah, blah. And then we have, oh boy, his head's here. We got some neck, we got some shoulders, arm, and he's just like waving at the car as he's kind of like chasing it down. Let's give him a fro, just because. He doesn't have a fro, but damn it, no one, the world don't need to know. That's one big ass, beefy ass arm. His arms are definitely more like this. And then his hand is like a triangle. But you get the picture. So it's kind of like a chase scene. And then maybe half the street. Pardon me. It wouldn't be at that angle. It would be more like kind of like that, but these would be larger. This would be kind of like smaller. So, you know, like that. A little something. And then this could be one of those things where instead of him actually, because I'm not doing a run cycle. That shit ain't happening. So you would see basically like this. So he's just like up and down with it, and then he's just like waving his arms like that's gonna make the car stop or something. If I got froggy, this is a if you feel a froggy. I could do that shit, but that's more of a everything else is gone smooth. I really like it. I want to do more with it. Then I would add the come back type of chase down scene. Let's see. Get a better track on this bitch. This one's kind of funky. Okay, so let's do so how sure am I that I want to ditch these other ideas? I want to say about 85% that I want to ditch this side shot of the over the cliff and hanging over the side of the cliff, which is, and I definitely want to skip out on the fireball. Dust particles would be fun because I haven't done a dust cloud yet. I've done smoke, I've done fire, I've done explosions, I've done water. I've done things getting shattered. I have not done a dust particle effect like a dust cloud. So that will be a challenge in itself as well. So we could go from here, roll into that, This one would be eliminated because that's superseded by that, basically. And then this will be cut out because we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Well, not from this side angle where it comes into a crash and all that kind of stuff. See here, the shot was more focused on the car, where the guy's just like hanging on, oh shit, and the car does like some amazing shit right here. Right here, it's more focused on the car. As well here, it will be car combined with Maya still in the show with freaking explosions and shit. So we skip out those and then we switch over to this guy, which would be the rock and car coming over the edge of it. And then we have the in the air shot. So we would need some clouds, some fluffy clouds, cloud, 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 cloud. So those are the clouds. So we have this like upward shot. There's the sun. Keep it real kindergarten around here. So we got the sun in the shot. And anywho, so we see, oh boy, leaping out the car. Like, oh shit. And then he would go off screen. And then this would go off screen that way. So we wouldn't see what happened with either of them. Right. And then we would go to here. No, we would not go to here. I need a new panel. So let me grab this panel and move the order to right here. We would have bag of trash, another bag of trash, another bag of trash, another bag of trash, another bag of trash. Basically bags of trash, blah, 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 blah. And then, oh boy, would come like, let's do, he would land in some kind of way. I don't know if I want to do him like landing on his back like that, like kind of a stunt fall that you see way back in the day. That's option 1. Let's just go ahead and put a 1. That's a 1, believe me. There we go. Or 2, he comes face first, like a freaking missile, which would suggest more of a you ain't surviving that kind of fall. Whereas this is, okay, you're probably gonna live kind of fall, because his posture is more relaxed. This is the typical, like, you know, stuntman fall that you would see. You know, it's a reason why they fall like this, because you're not hitting your head as much. Your butt is taking a lot of the impact. It's obviously not good for your back either, but you know, it's better than going in head first. Like, that's why in movies a lot of times you won't see somebody just straight falling head first. But this isn't a movie, this is animation. He can fall and land on his pinky toe for all I care, and survive, because we make the rules. We're the animators. We say what a person will live through and what they'll fucking die from. This is how the world works. And people will believe it because it's animated, because they understand it's animation. It's not the real world. Like a character getting lying on his fucking eyelashes. Like, oh shit. Maybe he was born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. You never know. People would just freaking roll with it. Whereas if you do live action, like people like, wait, what? That's weird. No. You know, and you have to really push the idea that the universe they're seeing isn't like the real world. Or is it? So anywho, so do that. And then that will go into him being on the trash bags. Trash bag, 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 trash bag. And our guy, he's here. No, he's kind of like buried in the trash bag, so we don't see like his legs down here. His arm, we just see one arm come up. Mark the forehead like that. So I'm just gonna leave that and throw a little arrow tip so I kind of see that, okay, there's a type of deal. And then that'll transition into the like I said, it's kind of like that. It'll do a head tilt as he's looking in that direction. Which will bring us to our next scene, where we see the car land and roll off into the sunset. And then afterwards, if we're feeling froggy, we see him at a different angle. Yet one more time. What happened to my music? Anyway, this will be just one more angle. It's kind of like a, hey, come back type of joint. Did I reach the end of this playlist? I couldn't reach the end of this playlist. There's no way in hell I'll listen to all end of this playlist. There's no way. I think I did. There's no way. It can't be. We ain't been streaming that long. There's absolutely no way. But because you're being a dildo, let's do. We'll do this guy. It's classic. Well, for my stream it is anyway. And then that, in a nutshell, would be our stop motion animation. That is the plan. How well we stick to it, I do not know. All I know is I am hungry as fuck right now. I'm probably gonna go make me some hot dogs. And I'm probably going to end the stream here. And I will come back next Friday night for the continuation of this stream. But I'm going to eat lunch. And then I am going to check on something. And if by chance I got selected for the sponsored stream, I will do that, and that will be done on Twitch. And I will probably wait till about I'll probably wait till about 6:30, 7 o'clock. Wait for some more people to wake up on the East Coast before I do that sponsor stream. And then that'll be that. And that will be, I really hope I get selected for that, because that'll be my first sponsor stream. So that will be really nice to try to do something, one, different, two, something that actually brings in some revenue. And 3, this be pretty fucking damn cool to do, you know, show support to an indie game, because we are a friend of indie game developers. That's why we have our homeboy Zilka TV on the show every now and then, because he likes to raid, and I definitely hang out in his stream and watch him. And as I've mentioned before, if you're not watching his stream, you're missing out on some good stuff. You really are. And also Colio has raided us a couple of times, and he is also developing a game. So if you're not watching his stream, you're also missing out on some good animation and game development. So next week, same time, same place, I will try to have my room in a more presentable state, at least one corner, so we can start on the prep. I will probably do material prep next week. So we'll paint the streets, we will do a little detail on the car, I'll do a test run of my software to make sure that it's going to be conducive to what I'm doing. Do like a little animation of oh boy. Maybe do the him running away thing. Maybe do that. That way it's already done, because you know things don't have to be filmed in sequence. And it'll be pretty easy to do. Especially if you don't see the wheels of the car, you just see him just like, ah, and then it's like the car in the distance. And I can slap a little background type stuff together. We can do that next stream as well. Thank you everyone for coming in. Thank you anyone who decided to chat. Thank you for supporting the stream. Be sure to give me that you know, appropriate channel appropriate action, those likes, those follows, those subscribes. My next stream will be Thursday morning, and that one will be on Twitch for sure. And I will be starting working on my card game. Not starting work, I will be continuing work on my card game. That being said, that stream might be kind of similar to this, and where there's going to be a lot of sketch work going on, and probably nothing fancy. It'll just be like sketch, just getting my ideas for how I want my visuals to kind of look. I actually might even use Storyboard Pro, because then I can have them all, like all the cards, in just like one thing. And it's just like, this is this card, this is that card, this is that card, versus doing a whole bunch of individual images for my thumbnails. So I like that idea. I'm glad you came up with it. You're awesome. So yeah, Thursday, next stream scheduled. It'll be working on my card game. So definitely look forward to that. And I hope to see you all there. And then Friday nights, we'll be back to the stop motion animation. I will be doing painting, props, cleaning props, doing the last shot, as well as the underneath the car shot. I can do that in one shot. Yeah, I can do that too, because that's just the car from the bottom and the door opening. And I need a green background or a solid color background that I can either use After Effects to chroma key out, or I'll just use Photoshop and just mask the damn thing out. Really no need to get fancy with it. And I can do that definitely next week. And then I could probably do the land. Because if I just get a shot like this, I can composite that and kind of like fake that as far as the land goes, and then stop motion the drive away. So do image animation for that part until it hits the ground, and then from the overlap and squash and stretch, do that in stop motion. Then that would be photo animation for that shot, and then I can start making the trash bags. I can start making what else do we have that we're gonna do? We're gonna do the street, the trash bags, and start filming some of these shots. And then I can probably get the street shot done as well if the paint dries. And I should probably go either look up some stock photos for the mountain shot, or go out and get like a really close-up shot of a rock or something so it looks like a cliff. Or maybe if I ask really, really nicely, a friend of the stream might get me a photo to use in the animation. I think that would be really, really cool if a friend of the stream would do that for me. So yeah, let me see if I can convince a little certain someone to do that for us, and then we could use that in our animation. I think that would be really cool, because I would definitely like to do more crowd viewership participation, if you would. So yeah, I will try to see if that is a possibility. If not, it's cool. We'll do what we do. In the meantime, that being said, I'm flipping starving and it is time to end the stream. So take it easy and be out. So I'm gonna flip this over since we are on see you next time, everybody. I'm just gonna let this ride out, let the beat ride out. I'm gonna turn my mic down low.